Hey, it's Jen, and I want to hop on and share an update on my mouth expansion process. So, the last video I posted on here was about 4 months ago, actually. Um, I believe it was literally the day that I was going in to get this upper palate expansion device. And so now I've had this device for about 4 months. You can hear that I have a slight lisp wearing it because there's hardware behind these front teeth. So it definitely changes my speech. But it's changed a lot um, in a short period of time, which I will show you. So to kind of recap my previous video, I've been going through this process of um, basically correcting a lot of things with the shape of my mouth. I had a lot of dental work done as a kid um, to help all my teeth fit nicely into my mouth because I had a small mouth. And my lower jaw was positioned quite far back when I was a kid, and I had some appliances that helped move it forward, which was great. That needed to be done. Um, but over the years, and I also had a couple of permanent teeth pulled because they said I didn't have enough room in my mouth for all of my permanent teeth. So in order to make my teeth all line up nice and pretty, they just took some out. And that ultimately caused some issues because my upper palate didn't really expand and grow to the size that was ideal. And so over time, um, things have started to shift. I mean, we're talking about, 20, 30 years down the road, things start to shift. And so where I had those permanent teeth pulled, that really started to crowd together. So there was literally no space where those permanent teeth had been. It all got kind of moved together through braces. And then, just over time, things started to move. And through that, the palate kind of growing, teeth growing together, um, palate potentially shrinking. Um, my lower teeth started crowding. You can see these used to be perfectly straight and they're not anymore. And my lower jaw had to adapt to the upper palate. And so it started to push back. So all that work I had done as a kid to move the jaw forward, it started to push back. And I started to get pressure up in my ears because the jawbone was pushing up, right? So, so what I did first was I had a device that helped realign my jaw and move it forward again to the proper position. And now I have this upper palate expansion device that has been growing my palate, literally growing my face. So I'll show you here. You can kind of see what it looks like on the inside. There's a lot of hardware in here. And so ultimately I have something up at the top where I'm supposed to keep my tongue. And then there's adjustment pieces on the sides here that I go in every month and they adjust. And it's been growing my palate. And so now my lower jaw is so much more far forward than it was before. And you'll see how much space I have where my permanent teeth were pulled as a kid. So if you look here, I have all that space. That was not there before. In fact, when I got fitted for this device, I had to go in the week before so they could put in spacers and so they could be able to like put this appliance in. So they put little spacers, like little rubber bands in between these teeth, and they could barely fit the rubber bands in. It was so tight. And I have all this space now, here and here, right? So I've got all that space. So you can see I've gotten about 4 millimeters of expansion over the past 4 months. And so I'll be getting this device removed in a few weeks. And then I'll go into braces. And so I also have these like bite pads is what they call them on my lower teeth. So you can see back there. So those are bite pads that are over my regular teeth that help keep my jaw and my lower jaw in place. So it is a little bit awkward. I'm not gonna lie, like eating and everything, like I can't bite down all the way. But what's so interesting to me is that this new position of my jaw, with my jaw being so far forward, before it looked like I had an underbite. Yeah, an underbite where they moved my jaw so far forward and these front teeth were like super far back. But now, since there's been so much expansion here, you can see like these teeth, if I could bite down fully, they'd go over, my bottom teeth, like they'd fit perfectly. And so it's really cool to see how much expansion has happened over just 4 months. And now what they'll be doing is putting on braces to straighten everything out. And ultimately they're going to move. So this space won't stay there. They're going to take my back teeth and with braces move them forward. So instead of kind of crunching everything together, and they're going to move, the braces are going to move the back teeth forward. So everything lines up. And then the bottom braces will straighten all of this out too. So I'll have nice straight teeth on the bottom again as well. So that'll be cool. The whole process isn't very cool. I'm not gonna lie, like it's a lot. I mean, I'll probably have braces, they said, for at least 1.5 years, if potentially longer. They never know how fast someone's mouth is going to shift, right, and adjust. And so but yeah, it's a process. It's a good 3-year process from start to finish, and so it's a commitment. But it's interesting. I'm working with also an orofacial myofunctional therapist. It's a lot to say, and so she helps. Well, one of the things she specializes in actually is breath, because she's working with a lot of kids with breathing problems and speech problems and things of that nature. But I'm realizing like how big of a role my breath played and the placement of my tongue played as a kid that affected the development of my mouth. And now we know all of this stuff, right? And I love it because it plays right into everything that I teach, like how critical the breath is. So she, like, even in this brochure, I just want to share with you some stuff because this is the stuff I talk about all the time. And so common signs of, well, first of all, the importance of nose breathing versus mouth breathing. How many times do I talk about that? A lot. Like, we need to be breathing in through our nose, in and out through our nose, not through our mouth. Chronic mouth breathers will have chronic issues, right? Common signs of chronic mouth breathing: noisy, messing eating habits, dry, chapped lips, dark circles under your eyes, gingivitis, cavities, bad breath, abnormal jaw development, crowded teeth or malocclusion. Okay, I had that as a kid. Speech issues and hoarseness, poor sleep, attention issues, behavioral problems. So those are common signs. And then there's a whole section on proper breathing versus improper breathing, and talking about the importance of your breath and how critical it is to breathe properly, and the importance of nasal breathing. It keeps us healthy. It allows us to produce nitric oxide, which mouth breathing does not. It speaks to that right here. And specifically that low nitric oxide levels are linked to many diseases. So nasal breathing is one of the biggest things that you can do for your overall health. And this is not woo-woo medicine. This is very conventional treatment, talking about the breath, right? And so we all need to know this, and especially teaching kids how to breathe properly early on, so you don't have to go back and do all this stuff again later as an adult, right? And so if you or your kids, you find like you have a hard time keeping your mouth shut with your lips sealed, like if that's hard for you, then that's a good sign that you're mouth breathing, right? I mean, and then I listed all the other ones too. So if you snore, if you wake up in the middle of the night with a dry mouth, if you drool, right? So those are signs that you're mouth breathing at night. And so I've shared in other videos that I use mouth tape, especially with this device in my mouth, because with this device and the fact that I can't bite down all the way right now, I use mouth tape to make sure at night I'm breathing through my nose. And so these, just to stress the importance on how your breathing habits affect everything, including your mouth and facial structure, right? And let's address that earlier on rather than later down the road. So there's my update for now. Probably the next time I give you an update, I'll have braces. So that'll be fun. But yeah, it's been a process, but it's been a very positive experience. So, all right, bye for now.